Saturn and Ouroboros.
Sometimes the Ouroboros is related to Saturn and some people don't know why. Well, in some depictions of the god Saturn himself, he's holding an Ouroboros. Let's refer to some books for a better understanding.
In Roman mythology, the Ouroboros was associated with Saturn, the god of time, who joined together the first and last months of the year like a serpent swallowing its own tail. Saturn swallowed his children, and, with his scythe, symbolized the devouring of life and mortality. In Renaissance Europe, Saturn continued to be associated with the Ouroboros, and his scythe became the symbol of death. This association continued into more modern times, and the Ouroboros came to decorate numerous Art Nouveau calendars. In the cemetery, a snake biting its own tail is a symbol of immortality, rejuvenation, and eternity. It is seldom used in funerary art nowadays, but it was a very popular symbol in 19th century cemeteries. Images of the Ouroboros can be found in the art of ancient Egypt, where it symbolized the daily cycle of the sun, China, where it was among the myriad yin and yang symbols, the Roman Empire, where it was associated with Saturn, the god of time, as well as in European and American funerary art. The dragon with his tail in his head is the Ouroboros, a symbol of Saturn. The Greeks knew Saturn as Kronos, a name that means time. The legend of this god is that he ate his own children. The Ouroboros is an image of the perpetual process of creation, destruction, dispersion, and assimilation of forms that animates the universe. The purpose of the great work is to rescue the soul from this fate. That is, to free her from the lending and borrowing forces that would bind her to unbalanced shells that, subjected to time, are perpetually devoured by Saturn. To pass beyond time is to achieve hard it.
Saturn and Satan.
I've been told a few times that Saturn is Satan, but with no explanation. We all understand that the two words sound similar or have the same letters, Saturn, Satan, but that's not good enough for me. I wanted to know why Satan was related to Pan and Cernunnos and how they relate to Saturn, so I did some digging. Here's what I came up with.
Marduk was the Roman god Kronos, whose name means the Horned One. Artists often depicted Nimrod wearing a crown of bull horns. Kronos was also the Roman god Saturn, who devoured his own sons as soon as they were born. Eusebius recorded, the Phoenicians, every year, sacrificed their beloved and only begotten children to Kronos, or Saturn, and the Rhodesians often did the same. Saturn also serves man in the role of Satan, the tempter. When the vibrations of Satan combine with an egocentric personality, people often trade their souls for material possessions and temporal powers. In this respect, Saturn is symbolic of the structure of values which lead to evolutionary growth. Thus, Saturn is the bridge between the forces of universal consciousness. Sometimes, Saturn is referred to as Rex Mundi, the king or prince of the world. Jesus is also known as Prince, and when you look at other depictions of Saturn, the god is viewed as Father Time, and later as the Grim Reaper, because of his influence and control of time. Thus, human aging and the destruction that is brought about in the life and death of every living organism. Father Time is depicted with a long white beard, in the same way as Quetzalcoatl and other deities like Jesus, Zeus, Kronos, etc. And from the name Saturn comes Satan and Santa, who is depicted with a long white beard. If you tilt the planet Saturn on its side, you get one of the most ancient symbols of the sun, a circle with a dot in the middle. Since Saturn is in the astronomical house of Capricorn, it is also associated with the goat, and thus Saturn or Satan is depicted with horns in the same way as the bull and goat gods. Satan translates to adversary, and in the Old Testament was the name of an agent of God, sent to test the faith of believers. In that context, many people believe Satan, or Satanale, to be an angelic figure, one doing God's will, and not a fallen angel. Satan has been linked with many figures in Judeo, Christian, Islamic, and pagan mythologies, including fallen angel Lucifer, the snake in the Garden of Eden, the beast of the Apocalypse, the Islamic Iblis, the Roman god Saturn, the Greek Pan, the Celtic Cernunnos, and the devil. Capricorn was the house of Saturn, the most evil and wicked of all the planets. He is called the Great Infortune, and all that part of the zodiac within the signs of Capricornus and Aquarius was under his dominion. Saturn was also known as Chronos, or time, which destroys all things, and, in the poetical and allegorical language of mythology, devours even his own children. The figure of Saturn with his scythe is to this day an emblem of decay and death. The Sun, therefore, when he entered Capricorn, passed into the house and under the dominion of Saturn, or death.
There's also a book called Saturn, A New Look at an Old Devil. That's worth checking out. And supposedly Saturn has a moon called Pan, and another called Ceres that looks just like the Death Star. And I did say supposedly.
Saturn, CERN, and time travel.
So we've connected Saturn to Cernunnos, and it seems that CERN is a wink to Cernunnos. Saturn being the god of time, it would make sense if the people behind it are indeed occult-minded, which seems the case. In CERN's logo, we can spot 3 sixes. On TV, we're seeing CERN-like machines with the capability of time travel. Anyone who has ever done the proper research would understand that Hollywood and mass media is but a branch of social engineering that often uses predictive programming. So what is CERN up to? It's mostly speculation, and I've yet to research it enough to really know, but with a machine or machines that big, the chances of a huge event that affects our reality go up a little bit. For more videos on the subject of CERN and time travel, check out Truth Media Revolution. As I mentioned in Chapter 1, Son of Saturn has Saturn videos packed with information. I had to watch all of his videos twice or more, but it was worth it. Thank you, Son of Saturn. And thanks everybody else for bearing with me. This was 3 weeks in the making. This was honest research from a non-religious and unbiased observer. I'm not pushing an agenda, and I'm not a shill or satanic just because you may not agree with my research. I'll leave you with one last fun fact. In palm reading, the middle finger represents Saturn.